probably wondering what this pedal is. It's the Marshall Jackhammer. The Jackhammer is part of the second series of Marshall pedals, the original series being the Shredmaster, the Governor, and the Bluesbreaker. And then they reissued both the Bluesbreaker and the Governor. I own the original two. In fact, I did some pretty old dodgy reviews on this channel on a 40 quid camcorder. I didn't like those two pedals particularly. They were okay. They just weren't as good as the kind of mystique that's been built up around them. John Mayer started using the Bluesbreaker, which enabled me to make quite a killing on eBay. I bought both those pedals for 20 quid each and subsequently sold them for 150 quid, so cheers, John. The basic settings on it, you've got an overdrive or distortion mode. I'm not too fussed with the distortion mode. You've got bass and treble. It's an incredibly bassy pedal, so you may end up rolling quite a bit of that off. And a contour. And the contour is basically a parametric EQ that allows you to select a mid-frequency and then take it out of the sound. I would personally have preferred it if it was like a center marker where you could either boost or cut, but just being able to cut seems to work quite well. In actual fact, I think I was using the pedal wrong about 5 years ago. Having come back to it for this demo, I never used the contour before. I felt like it was taking away mid. But if you set the frequency selector knob right to the top end, you end up removing a lot of the fizz of the distortion, and it actually goes quite smooth. Yeah, I've learned something new about this pedal in making this video. There's one notable user of this pedal that I'd like to point out, a guy called Alex Hutchins. If you're into fusion guitar or the sort of virtuoso schweedle-weedle stuff, he's well worth checking out. He's a brilliant player. Back in the day, and I'm allowed to say back in the day because I'm old. If you're under 18, you don't get to say back in the day, but back in the day, I used to go and watch a band called the Fenland Band. They were a blues band, and Alex would sit in with them occasionally. He's not a blues player per se, but you know he can obviously play it. First time I ever saw Alex, he was using a JMP1 with either a 2020 or 4040 stereo amp that Marshall used to make in a rack, and he was powering a 2x12 cab, and the amp was melting on him, so he went out and got another 1x12 and stuck it on the bar about 40 feet out. Alex did not lack for volume back then. But subsequently, I saw him with a Hot Rod DeVille 4x10. I've owned that amp myself. It's an incredibly bright amp, very, very trebly. And the Jackhammer pedal was his sole source of gain for around about 5 years, I reckon. This predates him getting the Boss gig. He's obviously Boss's main demo guy now. And to his credit, every time I've seen him since, he's played Boss gear. A lot of guys endorse something and then don't use it, but he definitely plays the thing that he's endorsing, which is really cool. But back then, he was definitely using the Jackhammer. And for one of the very best fusion guitarists on the planet, in my book at least, to be using that pedal as his sole source of drive is quite the endorsement. Post in the comments if, number one, you are Alex Hutchins, and you can confirm this. I don't have any video or photographic evidence to show you. There are some clips of Glastonbury 06, 05, I think. You can see a Hot Rod DeVille in shot. Obviously, you can't see the pedal board. And some stuff with Cam's Palace, which is K-A-M-S, Cam's Palace. I think that's a Chinese restaurant. But that was his band back then. It's kind of a fusion thing with a guy called Kevin Glasgow on bass, brilliant bass player. And you can hear that rig in action, and it sounded fantastic. And the other thing I want you to post in the comments is if you're anybody else in the world and you can think of an overdrive pedal that is better than this one that you can obtain for less than 20 quid on eBay. Personally, I think that this is about the best gain pedal that you can get for under 20 quid. Now, I realize that there's going to be people who go, Digitech Bad Monkey. Now, the Bad Monkey is a great overdrive pedal, but I don't think you're going to get it for under 20 quid. And it doesn't deliver as much gain as the Jackhammer does. So, good pedal, but let's see if you can come up with any other suggestions. I would be interested to hear them. I might try and get hold of one and maybe demo it up on the channel. I'm going to leave you with some examples of the extremes of the pedal settings that you can get. This is the only negative I have with the pedal. You won't be able to see it clearly, so I'll display on the screen somehow exactly where the knobs are set, because you can't see them. It's black position markers on a chrome finish, and it's the one letdown about the construction of this pedal. Everything else is solid, well made, and well thought out, but unfortunately, you're fiddling around on a pedal board like Jeff Healey down there. It's very, very tricky. So you really have to go at it by feel, which is fine. I'm allowed to say that about Jeff Healey, by the way, because he's like my favorite guitarist of all time, right? So that excuses that pun. Anyway, I hope you dig the video. If you did, give me a like, share, subscribe, thumbs up. It's always greatly appreciated, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.